So this morning, um, I'm really, really, really excited because I'm talking to this lovely man who is the interim head at Chesterton Primary School, and name's Richard Martin. And Chesterton was probably one of the very first schools that Ollie got into. So these guys kind of took the lead on doing something different, or even entertaining the idea of something different. And from the work that we've done, and I need to tell you this, Richard, from the work that we've done in your school, the one-to-one work, and indeed the first Ollie Kid program, which was only 10 kids, we are now doing whole school Ollie Kid programs. So we owe you in your school an awful lot. So just, can you tell us a little bit about the school, about what you're seeing in the school, what it was that made you even consider bringing something new in us? We were unheard of.
Yeah, sure. So we're a small primary in North Cambridge in CB4. So we're mixed, very mixed background of people and experiences and social situations. And we're fairly low on number. We've got a school of about 165 at the moment. And that means that our relationships can be quite personal. We get to know people really well. We know our families, we know our children really well. And that's something that we're really proud of. And the reason for the Ollie and his superpowers to begin with was we wanted to have something in school that we felt could have a stronger impact and a longer lasting impact on a child, to provide them with their own strength, I suppose, because we had some input that was a lighter touch, I would say. I think that's probably a fair way to describe it, in that it seemed to provide children with an opportunity to talk and an opportunity to share their concerns without ever really resolving them or helping children with a strategy to deal with them themselves. And so that was why we wanted to get involved with Ollie, because we have children with behavioural need and emotional need across our school, as you've encountered, and we wanted to give them something that gave them a better chance independently, I think.
I think I'm so going to pinch that, because I'm often asked what it is that Ollie and the Ollie coaches do that's different, and I waffle on for hours. You've just done it in a sentence, and I really love that you have, because that means we're getting it right. Yeah, the whole thing for me was, we can listen to the children, that's important, but we're always going to be listening to them unless we can give them strategies. So I absolutely love that. And I remember when we first met, you actually had 3 of us in your school to start with, and now you pretty well have someone fairly permanently. What, after we originally came in and worked with specific children, what was it that encouraged you to keep us in there, and how's that working?
Well, from my point of view, at that time, I was still spending half the week in the classroom. And obviously this position has brought me out of the classroom, but I was working with year 5 at the time, and you had 2 of my children from the class were receiving the coaching session. So I was able to see, what was happening with those guys and the change it brought about. And there was particularly one young lady whose relationship with the classroom wasn't particularly positive, and she remains quite stubborn and quite strong-willed. That's fair to say. But using the Ollie strategies, I was able to help her connect with the classroom more positively. So it wasn't just about her being on her own with that strategy to begin with. It was me being able to talk to her about, the princess and what type of dress she had and what colour shoes she had on and what tiara she was wearing.
You're an amazing teacher. I love it.
That was one of the things that helped us to see an impact, and we could see that with our children around the school. So it wasn't, they were improving independently and having those strategies for their meetings and having that coach around to remind them was obviously really positive. But to be able to link with that strategy in the classroom, I think was really powerful, and we could see that having an impact. So to carry that on and to know that we have a coach who is available for lots of the week, and even if that means for 10 minutes here and there as a little drop in, as well as the kind of formal sessions that take place, that's really powerful, because it's enabled to reach that child on a more personal level, I suppose.
Yeah, and again, I can only thank you, because you're allowing us to see what a school needs, rather than me just say, well, I think what you need is this. How would I know? I'm not there every day. And yeah, originally we came in and we worked with some children that were struggling. But I think for me, one of the things that I wanted to happen, and I didn't know if the school would be open to it, is that we actually didn't just work with the children, that we worked with you guys and we gave you our strategies, not to full therapy level, or we did do that for a couple of you actually teachers that are Ollie coaches, but so that we're all speaking the same language, and again with the parents. So how your staff have been amazing whenever I've been there, but I mean, how have they taken on the idea of the Ollie model, and parents as well?
Yeah, well, the consistency thing with staff is an important sort of topic, because that's a huge part of our behaviour policy anyway, and we're using Cambridgeshire steps, and that's all about a consistent language and a consistent approach from any adult to any child, so that they're receiving they hear the same thing. And teachers have been very positive with it. I would say, this last year, perhaps the consistency has dropped because the engagement with the children has been in lots of different ways. But I can certainly say that in the early stages, and this might be something we can work on together, one of the big things that stood out from your presentation, Ali, at the start, was about the emotion that was inside, that was having an impact, that was controlling the actions. And that was only a small part of the person. That's only a part of what's happening. And so this language of removing, I remember very clearly you removing the emotion, and here's the emotion, and here it is. To see teachers kind of using that language was really positive. And I suppose that what we want to try to do as a school is, when we've got children like that, and through your encouragement and coaching, is get back to that ability for children to see that emotion as something that can be separated from them and isn't powerful enough to control who they are. And importantly for us, there's a real big link with the steps, because the steps is very much talking about emotional vocabulary to communicate feelings, so that children can understand themselves.
Yeah, and again, as you know, it's kind of one of the core things with Ollie, that a lot of the kids that we meet, it's, this one is angry, this one is this one's disruptive, and it becomes a label, and what kids tend to do is get really good at that label, and a lot of the work, and this is how Ollie came about, a lot of the work that I was seeing in schools and other agencies was around changing the behaviour, which is good, especially for you guys. And I have to say, I'm in a lot of schools at the moment, and absolutely parents are so grateful to you guys. I think COVID has gone a long way to make them really, really respect teachers and what they do. So respect. So if you just deal with the behaviour and you don't deal with the emotion that's driving it, then you might correct the behaviour in one situation, one context, but not across the board. So I absolutely love that your teachers have taken that on board, because there isn't a bad child, it's a part of them that is happy. And
I think it would be good for us to get those links with our parents again, I think. And I know that we've already spoken about the autumn term and getting parents back on board and getting them to understand the approach that we have in school. So that consistency from staff member to staff member and from school to home is really important.
Well, I'd happily come back in. As I said, I do need to thank you, because we tried a lot with you guys, because you're absolute sweethearts and letters, but you have the look forward, I don't know what the word is, but looking forward, looking outside the box to help every kid, and absolute respect. But we trialled a program called Ollie Kids with you, and I think we had 10 kids who went on to be ambassadors. Since then, we've broken it out, so we're actually doing the whole school year 1 to 6. And the idea is that if we can teach them that it's a part of them, not who they are, and if we can get them to really understand that resilience is just not letting stuff in your head and your heart, then hopefully you won't need us. So I'm trying to put myself out of a job here. The reason it's worked, and again, thank you, is because we've got the opportunity to try it with you, because your staff were amazing and took it on board, and we're using the same language, because you allowed us to do the parents' evenings and engage the parents that wanted to. So I can only say thank you very much, and I'd love to come in and have a chat and see how we keep this going.
Absolutely. Yeah.
One more question. Your school's a little bit different. In a lot of schools, we put an Ollie coach in for the time they're needed. But you actually have your own Ollie coaches. How's that panning out? Is that a way forward? Is it something I need to think about? Or?
Well, I think that within schools, if they have a member of staff who is interested in the Ollie coaching, and I've got to say, amongst teaching assistants in our school anyway, the interest in actually having those skills to work with children, because so many of us in schools are working with children with that emotional need and the need to build resilience. And if you think about the model of schools, it can often be the teaching assistants or the HLTAs who are picking up those pieces. And, that might be because the model needs improving, or it might be because the model is that the teacher's at the front of the classroom, and when something's happened at break time and somebody needs picking up, it's the teaching assistant that might be in that situation. And I think I kind of perceive quite a lot of interest in learning the skill and learning to become a coach. And so if a school had an Ollie coach or a member of staff who was Ollie trained and could work within that school, or was then doing Ollie sessions within that school, it's certainly not a bad option. It's not a bad model for schools. Obviously, there's an investment there, but there's a return on that investment, and none less than for the children involved.
So I know I said no more questions, but one final question. Obviously, Ollie Kids programme, we're now spanning out to the whole school as a prevent. How did you find it? Because we trialled it with you, and we just had 10 kids, and they were interesting kids.
Yeah, well, we obviously had a range of children from across the school.
Yeah.
Biggest thing for me was seeing the types of children that went into those sessions, and they were probably our children who teachers weren't going to say they're top of the list for coaching because their emotional need is high and their resilience is so low. But they were ones who, if you had it on a level, you would say they were just below the threshold for meeting the need for coaching. And to watch them become much more positive about their whole experience in school and to build that resilience. I remember particularly one young lady who's now in her year 6 class, and she seemed to find school quite challenging on a daily basis and struggle with just the emotional things with friends and lessons. But the Ollie coaching built her resilience, and she was so much more positive. So I think getting those cuspy children, if you like, and to reach 10, 20, 30 of them at a time just lifts the mood of the school, I think.
I love that. I'm going to rename it Ollie Cuspy Kids.
Yeah, there's cuspy kids all over the place because you have them for attainment. Oh, where they're the ones, where are they? And I suppose in terms of the Ollie need, we're looking for those one-to-one coaching sessions. Where's the greatest need? But with the Ollie kids, okay, you might not be able to have the impact on those ones with the really high need, but with that medium level need, you can reach so many more at the same time and give them a shared purpose and that connection between each other. We're all experiencing this together. We're on the Ollie Kids programme, and that became quite special for them.
Yeah, I think it did. It was a lovely thing for me to be involved in. Brilliant. Well, thank you seriously from the bottom of my heart for all you've done to help us with Ollie, for the amazing work you're doing with your kids. The kids at your school are really lucky to have you and your staff. And I look forward to coming in and having a chat and seeing what we can take forward here. So thank you for your time, Richard. Much appreciated.
No problem at all. And thank you to you guys for the work you're doing and continue to do to support us to improve the chances for our children.
Thank you.
Okay.